The students of St. Mary's fill the halls with friendship, honor, and service to one another. Together with the faculty, they create a harmonious environment.
Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed be the rock. Hosanna, blessed be the rock of my salvation.
Located in San Francisco's Chinatown, St. Mary's Chinese Schools and Center offers high-quality education for kindergarten through the 8th grade. As a Catholic school, part of St. Mary's mission is to foster Christian values and instill a solid moral foundation. These values become part of a student's everyday life.
We are unique in that we may be a Catholic school and we're in the heart of Chinatown, but most of our children are not Catholic, and because myself as being a Paulist father, our commitment is to evangelize and to work with non-Catholics.
Creator, surrender, spirit in, spirit out.
For more than 80 years, the Paulist Fathers, Sisters of St. Joseph, faculty, and student body make up a truly unique community. A community with strong roots in Chinese and American culture, one that continues to thrive through several generations, and one that is simply known as the St. Mary's family.
It's really home. You know, since I was a young girl all the way up to my 20s, I've always had some sort of tie with St. Mary's.
With loyalty and affection, alumni come back to St. Mary's and never hesitate to give back to the school and center.
I come back because of the students. They're really very motivated in learning most of the time. They're fun to be with, and I feel that there's a connection between them and myself because I once sat in the same desks or chairs.
I grew up, at St. Mary's myself, and I sent my daughter here, and she graduated from here too. So it's the spirit and the love and the warmth and the family atmosphere of St. Mary's that keeps me coming back.
I was a student at St. Mary's Chinese Language School. I came to the United States when I was 9 years old, and I attended St. Mary's Chinese School from 5th through 12th grade.
I'm actually a middle generation. My mother went to St. Mary's, my brother and I went to St. Mary's, and my niece went to St. Mary's, so we actually have 3 generations of connections to St. Mary's.
My connection with St. Mary's actually started way, way, way back when my dad decided that he admired the educational and the behavioral standards that St. Mary's was giving the community. And so I started here in the kindergarten.
When I was growing up, that was the generation where, both parents worked and you hardly saw them. And St. Mary's was almost like your parent or a caretaker. If you were going to St. Mary's, they didn't need to know much more than that.
St. Mary's has produced great leaders in the community. Police Chief Heather Fong is a good example. She's a graduate of St. Mary's.
2 of my mentors that I worked with as I was growing up were Gordon J. Lau and John Yihua Chin. And they're the only 2 Chinese Americans that have elementary schools named after them in San Francisco, and they're both graduates of St. Mary's. And I was fortunate to work with both of them. So I think not only the school and the after-school activities that kept me on the straight and narrow, but also a lot of the people and personalities that went to St. Mary's before me also influenced my life.
Salutations, Mrs. Ng.
Salutations, first grade.
The faculty takes time to be with each child and get to know them because they're dedicated and they want to see success for each child. One of the things of being a good teacher is that you try to make the unclear clear, and you do whatever it takes to make that child feel successful, because success motivates success.
Little pig, let me come in.
Michaela is doing great in kindergarten, as we thought she would do when we made the decision to put her in St. Mary's.
Not by hair, like chinny chin chin. And I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down.
We felt she would have an opportunity to excel here. We felt that the more personalized environment that St. Mary's could offer would make her more educated, and just make her a better person.
We have two children. Stanford graduated 3 years ago, and my daughter Amanda is in the 8th grade, and she's going to graduate this year. One of the things I really like about the school is they stress how important the education is. And that above all, keeps them motivated. I think the level and the standards are really high. The discipline is very good. They know what's expected, and they know what's right, and they're taught what's right, and they're taught, more importantly, what's wrong. And I agree with that.
I want to show my parents that I can be a caring person and being able to share my knowledge with other people and to show compassion.
Since the early 1920s, St. Mary's has offered Chinese language classes, first through its afternoon language school and later through the day school. There's a commitment here to preserve traditional Chinese values and integrate them naturally into the core curriculum.
It's important for our students to learn Chinese because many of them come from a Chinese American background, and when they learn Chinese in school, it instills a pride within themselves of their heritage.
Even if you're not enrolled in Chinese school, you're still learning some Chinese. So it is that you get the American education, you get the Chinese culture and language education. And if you were to continue on after day school to go to Chinese school, you get so much more out of it.
目前呢係全球化係一個必然嘅趨勢。世界經濟咧係為交流，中國經濟發展，佢同美國或者其他嘅國家交貿易嘅時候咧，應該有雙語嘅直接嘅溝通，所以中文喺度係起咗非常之重要一個作用。
I really think that as Americans, we cannot always depend that other countries will learn English and all we have to do is sit back and let them do all the work. We too need to extend ourselves.
As identified by the Sisters of St. Joseph of Orange Educational Network, 4 key values influence the curriculum: Catholic identity, dignity, excellence, and social justice. With these values in mind, St. Mary's develops a sense of leadership and community among the students. Currently, St. Mary's is housed in a temporary location on Broadway Street in Our Lady of Guadalupe Church. In the aftermath of the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, the city of San Francisco declared the former Clay and Stockton location unsafe for children, so a decision had to be made.
Either to retrofit the old building and lose 25% of our space in the process, or to look for a new location to rebuild, and the third choice was to just close down after 70 plus years of ministry.
The third option was simply not an option.
We had to think about it, but knowing the parents at the time and knowing our prestige in the community, that the community would not allow it.
And so Father Daniel McCotter and the Archbishop got together and agreed that they would buy the one single last parcel of open land in in the Chinese community, which in the Chinatown area was the old International Hotel site. It had been lying there for 17, 18 years without any activity on it. And we sold our old site at Clay and Stockton and bought this new one. And with that, we committed ourselves to a capital campaign of rebuilding a new school.
The future is indeed bright as plans for the new St. Mary's, a state-of-the-art facility located on Kearny and Jackson Street, gets underway.
In terms of education, in terms of social services, we have not had for many years the ability to do more outreach to the community. Even though we have the 2 schools, St. Mary's Chinese Day School and St. Mary's Chinese Language School, we need to do more.
The new facility will include spacious classrooms, a science lab, a media and library center, and a multi-purpose gym and auditorium for community gatherings. With the new center, St. Mary's can expand its outreach to the community and serve new generations of families and alumni.
Our goal is not only to educate, but also to keep the Chinese culture and traditions alive. And I think that falls in line a lot with Catholic teachings and Christian teachings. So we try to blend all that together, not only in the school experience, but in all the other activities that go on throughout the center.
St. Mary's is such a major part of the community. I just can't see that the community not have St. Mary's in it. And it's taught generations of Chinese Americans, Chinese language, culture, and I know a lot of people have become active community leaders, volunteers, because of St. Mary's. So it's something that we have to keep alive and well.
There are many ways to give to the capital campaign and ensure St. Mary's link to the future. Consider gifts of cash, stocks, bonds, and securities, pledges, or deferred giving, such as a charitable remainder trust, or CRT. By putting income-producing assets, such as stocks or a rental property, into a CRT, the donor can draw off all the income annually tax-free, provided those assets go to St. Mary's upon the death of one or both donors.
In the Chinese community, we have this tradition of wanting to leave what we've spent our lives working for to our children. And what happens if you put everything in a trust and you give it to St. Mary's? Well, first of all, you don't have to put everything into it. And the second thing you can do is to buy a life insurance policy and pay for it out of the proceeds of the trust. And the life insurance policy upon the two people leaving this earth will then give a death benefit to the children. And you can make that any size you want.
Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
When I see the site on Kearney Street, and we've seen pictures of what it will look like, I am anxious to get it done so that I can be part of some program that they will have. It may not be as a teacher, but I want to be a part of the new St. Mary's that's going up to serve the entire Chinatown community.
We need to invest because this is our link to the future. If we don't invest, we're not going to have this wonderful educational center, which is the oldest and the most prestigious bicultural center in the Bay Area for the Chinese community. It is a center that is renowned now for joining together traditional Chinese values with Christian morals. And we have a wonderful tradition of turning out very excellent citizens who really contribute to society. If we don't invest, we're going to throw our future away.
I will magnify the Lord, who is worthy to be praised.
For more information on how you can contribute to St. Mary's Capital Campaign, call or write to us.
Hosanna, blessed be the rock, blessed be the rock of my salvation. Hosanna, blessed be the rock, blessed be the rock of my salvation. I will magnify the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. I will magnify the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed be the rock. Hosanna, blessed be the rock of my salvation. Hosanna, blessed be the rock of my salvation. Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed be the rock. Hosanna, blessed be the rock of my salvation.